Good morning. I was trying to wait it out. I was trying to make it blend in seamlessly there. How'd I do? Great. Good morning. Welcome to Heritage Universalist Unitarian Church, a community where we value the inherent worth and dignity of every person, regardless of race, color, ethnicity, orientation, or gender identity. My name is Shannon Murley, and I am a member of the worship team. Heritage Church is a part of the Unitarian Universalist Association, which encourages each person to search for their own understanding of truth and meaning and does not tell people what to believe. Instead, what holds us together is a sense of community and shared principles. By coming together in worship, work, and play, we nourish our souls. By participating in social justice initiatives, we help heal the world. If you're here for the first time, I invite you to sign our guest book either here in person or for those of you attending on Zoom, hi Zoom, at the link which will be put in the chat box at the bottom of your screen. You can also spend some time at our website, huuc.net, getting to know more about what we have to offer. Please take a moment to review the updated COVID policy in your order of service. Reverend Bill will be speaking more about that in a moment. I also want to invite you to a special all-ages fun and colorful activity after the service, which Lacey will be explaining in a bit when she joins us. I have a late-breaking announcement from Dave Small. It is happening today. Please join CROW, Citizens for the Rights of the Ohio Watershed, a new paradigm here in the sanctuary this Saturday, 10 a.m. till noon. That's not today. That's next Saturday. Mark your calendars. If you have any questions, ask Dave Small, and he'd be happy to help you with that. Finally, our call to worship will be a bit different this morning because it is the spring equinox. Tracy Joe will tell us about that now.
Good morning. The picture that you see behind me is a picture of visual representation of the wheel, the cycle, the circle of the year. Has no beginning and no ending. We find ourselves today here on Ostara, the vernal equinox. The four major holidays or solar events are called quarter holidays or holy days. The four cross-quarter holidays are marked, they're midpoint events, and they're marked there. We've just come from Imbolc. Today we have vernal equinox, and we'll be going into Beltane. Today at 11:33, when many of us will still be here in the sanctuary, we'll cross into the spring officially, into Ostara. The word Ostara comes from the ancient Anglo-Saxons' worship of the goddess Easter, spelled E-O-S-T-R-E. And we believe that it's today's Christian holiday called Easter, and we get that word Easter from Easter and Ostara. At home or in Zoom, join me now as we call in the directions. We'll be using the words written by our good friend April. If you'd like to stand, we'll be tradition to stand and face the direction that we're calling in. So if you're comfortable to stand now, we'll be turning in this room and facing the east, which is the back of the room, and Ellie will lead us.
Guardian spirits of the direction of east, silent watchers of the element of air, keepers of wind and cloud, storm and smoke, lung and voice, we ask for your presence here. Connect us with our breath and with the sky. Welcome.
We'll turn and face the south. Julia will lead us.
Guardian spirits of the direction of south, silent watchers of the element of fire, keepers of the guiding torch, the hearth, the candle flame, we ask for your presence here. Connect us with our spirits and the sacred fires. Welcome.
Guardian spirits of the direction of west, silent watchers of the element of water, keepers of rivers and lakes, the rain and our tears. We ask for your presence here. Connect us with our wise emotions and the ocean. Welcome.
Guardian spirits of the direction of north, silent watchers of the element earth, keepers of soil and stone, mountain and tree, flesh and bone. We ask for your presence here. Ground us in our bodies and the earth. Welcome.
Guardian spirits of the great tree of life, of the above and the below, of the interconnected web of which we are all a part. We ask for your blessing and your protection here. Welcome. The circle is cast. Blessed be.
I invite all of you to join me on our opening hymn today, Let There Be Peace on Earth. The words are in your program, and they're also going to be shown on the wall over here. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God our Creator, neighbors all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
We affirm that love is the spirit of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God.
This morning's service is titled Hodgepodge Sunday, and perhaps you have already gotten some idea of the eclectic nature of our worship today. We are marking the spring equinox or equinox. You say tomato, I say tomato. We will also be lifting up another spring celebration, the Hindu tradition of Holi. And we will certainly be putting our hearts and prayers toward peace on earth, singing and hearing thoughtful music, and more. And we will be doing all this amid some important changes to our worship routine. In truth, routine is hardly a word that applies to heritage worship, even in normal times, and the past 2 years have been anything but normal. It was 2 years ago today, this Sunday, the third Sunday in March, that we held our first ever Zoom-only service. And since we've been back together in the sanctuary now, first in the fall and then again more recently, we have had a limited seating capacity and a mask requirement. But you'll see now that there's more chairs here in the sanctuary. It's limited, but not as limited. And you'll see that today some of us are masked and some of us are not. This is a major change for this community. We now have the choice of whether or not to wear a mask. Earlier this week, with local and national COVID cases decreasing, our board voted to make masks optional, as well as to increase the seating capacity here in the sanctuary. Over the past 2 years, masking for the health and safety of self and others has become politicized. Sadly, even tragically, masking has become a divisive topic. To mask or not to mask, that has been the question. Whatever masking decision was made, whether as an individual, as a family, or as a community, has become tantamount to a political statement, a very public statement. As a result, most of us have had the experience, probably on multiple occasions by now, of being uncomfortable, ill at ease, anxious, either socially or medically in various public settings. And I know because folks have told me that some of us who are here today are uncomfortable, anxious right now, either because we are not wearing a mask or because we are wearing a mask. It can go either way. In many ways, it was easier when we didn't have a choice. I know as well that while we all now have a choice about masking here in the church, there's also still a choice about whether or not to attend in person or on Zoom. That choice will always continue. And some of us do not have a choice about things like getting vaccinated. Young children and those who are immunocompromised can't be vaccinated, much less boosted. I'm also painfully aware that so far in 2022, we have lost not one, but two older members of our wider heritage family to COVID. All of this is to say that, like the matters of war and peace I will be talking about later, or even mundane matters like whether you say equinox or equinox, there is not one right answer to most questions. As we sometimes say here at Heritage, we make up one church, but we walk many different paths. So today and in the weeks ahead, you will see some people wearing masks and some not, including those leading worship. Trust me, we've had long conversations with each other and our families about these choices, and those choices will certainly change over time. Change with new developments, with changes in our personal level of comfort. So what I ask of you, what I ask of this community, is that we continue doing what we have long done. Give one another the benefit of the doubt. Honor choices that others make. Feel empowered to do what you believe is right. And continue to live and love in the spirit that has always been Heritage. This is an ever-evolving situation, and I know our Board of Trustees invites your feedback, just as they will continue to consider new pandemic developments. Together, we are a community, a united community, a community that loves and supports one another. It is my prayer that that will ever be so. Amen.
We seem to find ourselves at a very interesting time in various calendars. Not only is the equinox celebrated in this moment, but Purim was also celebrated in the Jewish world this week, and this week in Hindu parts of the world, Holi was celebrated. So today, our young people are going to celebrate together Holi, and you will be invited after church, if you would like to participate, to exit out this door onto the patio to celebrate Holi as well. Know, though, that that celebration includes the use of pigmented dye thrown into the air and onto you. So if you are interested in participating, please do join us, but anticipate a colorful reception as you exit. So one of the very interesting things about holy is it actually has a lot of meanings. And where you live and what tradition you come out of, in part, determines the significance of that particular holiday. So I want to share with you the sort of three main reasons for celebrating holy and the significance of them in total. So first, it is a celebration of bravery and the triumph of good over evil. So one of the really interesting things, more ancient than most of our recent holidays, certainly in the Jewish or the Christian world, Hinduism and Hindu texts show the celebration of Holi for thousands and thousands of years. So you can look at how different folks over time have celebrated. One of the first meanings, one of the first sort of events that it catalogs or celebrates or remembers or brings into our memory is the celebration of good over evil. There's an ancient evil king. He thinks that he is a god because he has been blessed by a god with some special skills and decides that everyone in his kingdom should have to celebrate him as a god. Where his own son, very young son, was like, well, I don't think that makes any sense. I don't think I'm going to do that. And no matter how the king tries to convince the son to celebrate him as a god, the son evades the attempts, evades the ways in which the king is trying to force him into an action. Until finally he's like, my sister, Holika, has this special talent that she can sit in fire and not be consumed. So I'm going to ask my son during this year's celebration to sit on her lap so that he might be consumed by fire. Strange thing to want for your son. But the young son is smart and is thoughtful about this and realizes that the sister, his aunt, the reason she can sit in the fire is because of this special shawl she has. So he makes use of the shawl. He has survived. He survives the fire, but his aunt does not. So after this, the father was like, I'm never going to do this again. That was a horrible idea. And so good triumphs over evil. And so the day before Holi, bonfires are lit to remember this event. And in ancient times, the ashes of those bonfires were taken and smeared on everyone's face to remind them of the event. So that's the first significance or meaning or story. Well, over time, this event is celebrated during the spring when things have started to bloom. Beautiful colors are everywhere. Well, over time, people start to think, well, instead of just smearing these ashes all over us, what if we take these flowers and grind them up and smear those all over our face? That would be much better than the ashes and so much more colorful. And because it is a festival of spring, of fertility, and of abundance, that's how we get the colors and how the Holi gets the term, the festival of colors, as a celebration of spring, thus the number 2. Now, the third meaning of Holi is maybe to me the most interesting because it talks about how different places celebrate different things. There's a certain region in India where the worship of the Lord Vishnu is very prevalent. And they celebrate not just fertility of spring, but fertility in general. And to them, fertility is most powerfully symbolized in the eternal love of Lord Vishnu and Radu. And so in that place, love is also celebrated during Holi. And for 16 days before the actual celebration of Holi, women are given the ability to beat men over the head and shield with a stick. It's a playful sort of situation, I read. And they do obviously have the shield. But it is a way of sort of equalizing what is generally a power imbalance in a traditional culture. To say that there is this moment, these 16 days, in which this power imbalance might be made more right, which brings me to the significance. In contemporary India, when Holi is celebrated, It is considered a moment that breaks down all of the barriers of the society. That when you go into the streets, you join into this whole community with everyone, regardless of gender or class or caste or location. And everyone is equal in this moment of celebration. That everyone has the right to interact with one another. Everyone has the right to join in the Festival of Colors. That in this moment, there's the possibility of a very new, a radically new relationship to one another. And this is, I think, the power of Holy for all of us today. To say that even if things are the way that they are, even if they're going to stay that way tomorrow, today we can imagine something different. That today we can connect and play and have fun and have joy with one another. That today we can imagine new kinds of relationships and friendships and new ways of connecting. That today is full of possibility. So remember, at the end of church, you can exit this way to join in this celebration. You don't have to. Just exit the back if you don't. Now, we are about to join together and sing the kids out. So we're going to sing it through twice, and everyone's going to, kids, you come up and out through the back. As we sing together, Go Now in Peace, twice.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the love of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the love of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
We pray that love will surround our children everywhere they go. We send them forth in peace. We teach them peace at every turn. And yet our hearts are heavy when we hear the daily news of war, of what is being done, what is happening to children in Europe and elsewhere around our world. We sing for peace on earth amid this daily drumbeat of war. And we gather this morning a peace-loving people who stand in solidarity with the Ukrainian people. Also a peace-loving people who have been forced against their will into a stance of war. A peace-loving country under attack as they defend their homeland and resist an unrelenting, unprovoked, brutal military assault which has pushed the entire world to the precipice. Russia's invasion of Ukraine is in many ways simply another chapter in the heartbreaking history of Europe. Armies marching from the east, armies marching from the west, land grabs and power grabs, expansionism and ethnic strife, despotism and destruction. And once again, we find ourselves here in North America monitoring the news of war in Europe and recoiling at all the connotations that phrase carries with it. We fear, legitimately, the escalation of this already terrible conflict. We fear being drawn into it. We also fear what might happen if we do not get drawn into it. Personally, I find myself wondering, as did an earlier generation, my father's generation, in fact, wondering, are there times when going to war is the only way to end war? The only way to stop the intentional targeting of children? the only way to stop the intentional destruction of a peaceful country, the only way to prevent genocide. My father fought in World War II on the ground in France and Belgium and Germany. Maybe it goes without saying, but by all accounts, he was not the same man when he came back. I mourn the loss of that man, the man he was, whom I never got to know. But here's the thing, not only did that particular war change my father and countless other men and women on all sides, it also changed the world. And I shudder to think what our world would have been like had things gone differently. Had the United States not made that difficult decision to join the Allies and put a halt to the advance of fascist authoritarianism around the globe. And now, friends, history is repeating itself, and it breaks my heart, as I know it does yours, that we seem to be at an eerily similar inflection point. Here, now, in our lifetimes, and in the lifetimes of our children and grandchildren. I do not have an answer. I am struggling daily with the moral and ethical questions of war and peace. Perhaps it is because I am older now, closer to the age my father was when I did know him. But things don't seem quite so cut and dried, so black and white to me as they did when I was younger. Don't get me wrong. I abhor war. I am sickened by what is happening in Ukraine. But I'm also sickened by the idea of an authoritarian regime destroying and taking over another country and putting the entire world at risk. Amid all this, amid all the internal questions I am dealing with, I know all of us are dealing with, the irony is not lost on me that this afternoon we will hold a memorial service here in this sanctuary for a man who for decades was the conscience of this congregation, our leading voice of pacifism and peace. Jim Crocker Lackness was a UU Quaker pagan. He was a professor who taught peace and nonviolence in the manner of Dr. King. He was a Vietnam conscientious objector who taught us at Heritage new ways of understanding the Bible and better ways of being together in community. And I so wish I could sit down right now with Jim or pick up the phone and call him as I did during the last few years of his life and hear his voice, hear his thoughts on what's going on in Europe. I wish I could because I need Jim's spirit now. Because I am having second thoughts these days about my own rather lukewarm and underdeveloped pacifist tendencies. WWJD. What would Jim do? What would he say today? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he would turn to his faith, a well-developed, well-honed, deeply thought-out faith, a very eclectic faith, and stand his ground for peace. I know that he would pray for peace. He'd be praying for peace every minute of every day right now. And perhaps he still is. I pray he still is. And so I invite you to pray with me, with Jim's spirit, with all the people of the world this morning who are in prayer. And we will begin with a video prayer. Yes, there is such a thing. From country singer Reba McEntire. I invite you to make yourself comfortable wherever you happen to be right now in this moment this precious prayerful moment, aware that in Eastern Europe, and in fact in various places all around the earth, our prayers are needed, so very needed now, more than ever. And join your prayers with Reba's and with those whom you will see on the screen. Let us all pray for peace.
Pray for peace. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. Please pray for peace. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. Please pray for peace. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. Please pray for peace. There's power in the number of us praying here on earth. We're asking for a miracle. Let your voice be the first to pray for peace. Pray for our mother. Pray for peace. Pray for your father. Pray for peace. Pray for your children. Please pray for peace. And pray for you. Please pray for peace. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. You gotta pray for peace. Pray for peace. Oh, you gotta please pray for peace. Pray for our leaders. Pray for forgiveness. We gotta pray for freedom. Please pray for love. Oh, pray for our family. Pray for your brother. Pray for our sisters. Please pray for me. Oh, pray for wisdom. And pray for knowledge. Pray for understanding. Pray for the love. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. Pray for peace. Pray for peace.
So that was the video prayer. Now it's time for the silence. I invite you to pray for peace together now. hearing the joy and the freedom of our beloved children outside, feeling the heartbreak and the freedom of ourselves here in the sanctuary. May we always and ever honor the spirit of life in each and in all. Amen.
Good morning. I'm Regina Pugh, and for several years now, I have coordinated our weekly outreach offerings by seeking out and recommending nonprofits that put the spirit of our principles into action. And financial support is a form of action, and banding together each week to pool our resources has a greater impact. And it's not only honoring our principles, but also our church covenant, in which we agree to serve humankind in fellowship. Today's plate offering will support our longtime community partner, Inter-Parish Ministry. If you prefer to donate via a credit card, you will find a link to their donation page on our church homepage all this week, and our church website is huuc.net. Heritage dedicates at least one monthly offering to this vital nonprofit that works to create food security in our community. Through pantries located in Newtown and Amelia, along with mobile pantries that allow greater access to their services, IPM continues to supply food, toiletries, and cleaning supplies to hundreds of families each week. They have met the challenge of increased need in the past years with creative solutions and continued transformation where and when needed, such as drive-through and pop-up pantries, prepared meal kits, and new programs that provide wraparound services to help families gain financial stability. And a partnership with St. Vincent de Paul allows them to provide families with gift cards to obtain needed clothing items without using their precious pantry space. In addition to our monthly plate offering, you can always pick up an extra item or two when you shop and place them in the grocery cart in the Great Hall. Church members who volunteer at IPM will deliver those for you. In addition to food items, remember they always need toiletries, detergent, and dry pet food. And I thank you for all the ways that you support our outreach and put our principles and our covenant into action. The morning's offering will be gratefully received. You send your offering with the love that is the spirit of this church. Thank you.
Each week during this stewardship season, when we, the community we call Heritage, are asked to pledge our financial support to the mission and vision of the church we love for the coming year. Each week this season, we are showing videos of members and friends of this congregation sharing why they are so generous in their support of Heritage Universalist Unitarian Church. Today we hear from Joanne Meyer.
Okay, what heritage means to me. I'm a person that loves to eat. I love sweet and salty. I love chocolate. I love spicy. And I feel like I get that here at Heritage, metaphorically. I get some sweet, I get some salty, I get some sour, I get some spicy, and I chew on that for the week or two after the sermon. I'm also a person that enjoys exploring the woods and waterways and going on hikes, and I also get that at Heritage. I'm encouraged to explore the paths that are entitled compassion, spirituality, goodness, evil, righteousness, and I appreciate the challenge to explore those things within myself and share my explorations with all the people that come to this place. And coming here just helps me become a better me.
Well, I hadn't seen that, and that was lovely. That was very lovely. Now we come to Candles of Community, a sacred and long-cherished ritual here at Heritage when we share the joys and sorrows in our lives. We invited you to email requests prior to the service, and when I've finished sharing those, as well as those written in the book this morning, the chat will open for you to share your own in Zoom, and I will read those aloud. I encourage you to find your own way to lift up each person or family as their candle is shared. We begin our candles with, and now Reverend Bill will light one more candle for those joys and sorrows that are still too tender to be spoken aloud.
That's a nice little introduction there, isn't it?
I make a special request of our talented music director, Les Tacey, for a specific song that goes with something I want to say or reflect on in worship. So this is by request. Thank you, Les. It's called Hell Yeah by Neil Diamond.
Thanks for asking this. I can relate to this song. I hope you can too as you listen to the words. If you're thinking that my life is a hoot and a holler from the start of the day to the dark of the night, and it's ringing like a bell that you only want to follow, gotta trust me when I say I'm just trying to get it right. Still I think to myself, as a lucky old dreamer, if you're asking me to tell, is it worth what I paid? You're gonna hear me say, hell yeah it is. And I say it loud, I loved it all. And I'm not too proud, I freed my soul just let it fly. Hell yeah, this crazy life around me, it confuses and confounds me, but it's all the life I got until I die. Hell yeah, it is. If you're asking for my time, is it much left to give you? Been around a good long while, so I gotta say it fast. Time is all we'll ever need, but it's gotta have a meaning. You be careful how it's spent, 'cause it isn't gonna last. I hear you wondering out loud, are you ever gonna make it? Will you ever work it out? Will you ever take a chance and just believe you can? Hell yeah, you will. You're gonna be okay, and you might get lost, but then you'll find a way. Don't go alone. You can't be afraid. Hell yeah, this life is here and it's made for living. Life's a gift that's made for giving. You give it all away and you have it still. Hell yeah, you will. I've been living in a bowl with a lot of people staring, with my feet on shaky ground and my head up in the sky. But it's where I want to be. It's a life made for caring. Got a song to pass the day and friends to pass the night. So if they ask you when I'm gone, was it everything he wanted when he had to travel on? Did he know he'd be missed? You can tell them this. Hell yeah, he did. He saw it all. He walked the line. He never had to crawl. He cried a bit, but not too long. Hell yeah, he found the life that he was after, filled it up with life and laughter, finally got it right and made it fit. Hell yeah, he did. Hell yeah, he did. Hell yeah, he did.
And hell yeah, they are. That could be your future very soon. Thank you, Les. Today's sound guys, you can't see this. You might want to wander up here at some point. Today's service has intentionally been a hodgepodge of various themes and ideas, and a challenge to sing and preach while this is going on. We've been responsive to what's going on in our world and in our congregation. I promoted this service as including some things that have recently been on my mind and my heart. And so I want to conclude this eclectic liturgy with brief thoughts on the blessings of our lives. It was Lou Gehrig, whose name is now synonymous not only with a Hall of Fame baseball career, but also a terrible, devastating disease, who famously said, "I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth." Well, folks, so do I. And there are others I know in this sanctuary who have expressed that very same sentiment to me, even as you were dealing with losing loved ones or facing your own difficult diagnosis or dealing with some other crisis, whether personal or family or career. It seems that Lou Gehrig's assessment of his situation and of just how blessed he was not that unique. Perhaps, in fact, it is part and parcel of being a human being. That makes me feel better because there have been times, so many times in the past few weeks, months, years, that I've felt a little guilty, feeling like I was too blessed. Because despite everything that's going on in the world, despite war and pandemic and the deaths of loved ones and the fact that my kid moved away again to a Pacific island, each and every day I still feel so blessed. I am the luckiest man on earth, or as Neil Diamond, via Les, wrote, I'm just a lucky old dreamer. There are a few other lines from that song that I want to highlight this morning because they speak to me. They speak for me, if you will. Here's one. I've been around a good long while, so I've got to say it fast. There's not a lot of time left, so it matters how you spend your time. Don't spend too much worrying or sweating the small stuff. Look who that's coming from, right? Don't let yourself, Kathy laughed the loudest there, don't let yourself get drawn into arguments or divisiveness over whether there are masks or what somebody's management style is or how to cook or slice a turkey or how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. Spend your time with those you love doing what you love to do. And here's another line from Neil Diamond. Don't go alone. I look around this sanctuary and I see people who have intentionally made the choice not to go it alone in this life. And that has made all the difference. We get up on a Sunday morning and drive to a church so we can be together in community. On Zoom right now, there's a mic there. I can't see who's there, but I know that there are folks out there on Zoom who decided to log in and to connect this morning because they too know that we are at our best when we are living our lives in community with others. Everybody turn around and wave at Zoom. We're here. We love you. We know you're there. So don't go it alone. In this congregation, you have a family of choice with whom to make the journey. And speaking of the journey, there's one more line from that song Les just did for us that says it all for me. He cried a bit, but not too long. Found the life that he was after and filled it up with love and laughter. That about sums it up. There have been tears. There's been laughter. And there's been love, so much love in my life. Now, I know I'm starting to sound, right on cue. Hey, Libby? No, that's cool. Wait, before you leave, Libby, come, just take a walk up and down the aisle. Everybody, check out Libby. Yeah. Oh, where was I? I was starting to sound kind of like, he's about to announce some bad diagnosis or something. That's not what's going on. Neil Diamond's been kicking a long time since he wrote that song. My message is just that I'm simply feeling this morning so blessed to be here in this moment because you never know how many more mornings or moments are left. And I want to offer my thanks to God and to this life and to you, to the church that has always centered love and has helped shape my spirituality into one of deep and abiding faith in that love and in the greater love that has given life to us all. I am privileged, we are privileged, and deeply blessed to be here in this sanctuary or out in the Great Hall or out on the patio or on Zoom, aware of and grateful for these blessings. We reach out our hearts to all those with whom we share this life and this planet, especially those who are hurting and struggling, those who are at war, those who are afraid, those who for any number of reasons cannot right now feel the love of which I'm speaking. We are so blessed, my friends. May we share those blessings and this precious time with others. Ashe, namaste, and amen. And so for the second time this morning, I invite you to settle into a period of brief silence. Perhaps to reflect on something you've just heard, or maybe something you heard or saw earlier in the service. And I want to point out that because there is no such thing as a coincidence, while we will be in this period of silence, the spring equinox will occur in this very minute of silence. Blessed be, and amen. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being present, for being mindful, for considering these thoughts, these reflections, the issues of our lives and the days in which we live. Thank you for being a wonderful and open-hearted community, the open-minded souls that you are. Our closing words are from David White. Gratitude is understanding that millions of things have come together and mesh and breathe together before we even take one breath of air, this breath, and that the underlying gift of life and incarnation as a loving, living, participating human being is a privilege. Let us be grateful that we are part of something rather than nothing. Even if that something is temporarily pain or despair, we inhabit a world with real faces, real voices, laughter, the color blue, lots of other colors, the green of the fields, the freshness of a cool breeze. To see the full miraculous essentiality of the color blue, for example, is to be grateful, with no necessity for a word of thanks. To see fully the beauty of a daughter's face is to be fully grateful without having to seek a God to thank. To sit among friends and strangers, hearing many voices, hearing different opinions, to intuit inner lives beneath surface lives, to inhabit many worlds at once in this world, to be a someone amongst other someones, and therefore to make conversation, sometimes without saying a word. All of this is to deepen our sense of presence, our natural thankfulness that everything happens both with us and without us all at once. And so we are grateful that we are both participants and witnesses to this miracle. Blessed be, dear ones, blessed be. Now, if you're here in the sanctuary, I invite you to rise one last time in body or spirit. Join hands around the sanctuary for our traditional heritage benediction, and then remain where you are as we release the directions and close the circle of worship this morning. And remember, there's fun and color awaiting outside. Somebody want to connect with the sound people? Thank you. May the Spirit of life, that each of us possesses, flow from one to the other. May it stay with us. And bring us peace and harmony. Until we meet again.
Mike, please, oh, there we go. Please remain standing while we release the directions. Face the south, I'm sorry, the north.
We release the spirits of the north. Thank you for your guidance today.
Turning to the west, we release the spirits of the west. Thank you for your guidance today.
We release the spirit of the south. Thank you for your guidance today.
We release the spirits of the east. Thank you for your guidance today.
We release and thank the spirits, the guardian spirits of the above and the below, the great tree of life. Thank you. The circle is open but unbroken. Stay if you can, go if you must. Blessed be.